Good morning, ladies. Hi, it's Heather Etter again. Thank you for those of you who have been joining my little mini series on personal growth, the seasons of personal growth. I hope that it has helped in some way. I just love getting on here and having conversation with you guys. So this is week 4. This is the final week. We've done foundation, we've done forgiveness, we've talked about faith, and today we're going to talk about freedom. And I had, honestly, I had lots of notes. And then this morning, I just really feel like it just needs to kind of be a little more organic. So one of the things that I just want to kind of like recap and talk about again is the value of knowing what we believe, why we believe it, our foundation. One of the things that I think is interesting about people of faith is a lot of times we can feel as though there's a lot of rules, and a lot of people, especially outside of any faith, will sometimes be put off or can stumble a little bit over expectations. But I want to speak to the fact that there is a lot of freedom in having expectations. There's a lot of freedom in knowing what to expect and what is expected of you. If you think about, you go to a wedding, right? You go to a memorial service. Like there are things that you know that you can expect. There's a position that you know that you need to come from. And I think the same really applies to our spiritual walk and how that translates into practical life. I love this analogy of a fence. So what I want you to do is I want you to think for a moment about painting. Let's say perhaps you are an artist. Okay, so I want you to close your eyes for a minute. I know it might sound a little bit crazy, but close your eyes and envision yourself setting up your easel, setting up your paints, and you're going to set it up in your front yard. Okay, so you're getting all the things out. You have your little side table, and then, good morning, Melissa. And then all of a sudden, the neighbor's dog comes running through and knocks over your little side table, and then your child comes running out of the front door and bumps into your painting, into your easel, as you are adding just those finishing touches to your picture. And I want you to think about the emotion. I want you to think about the frustration, the feeling of being a little bit not sure where the next hit is going to come from, right? Excuse me. Now put up a fence. I want you to put up just a little white picket fence, green picket fence, doesn't matter. But you can see over it. There's a gate that can be opened and closed. There's slats in between so you can kind of see what's going on outside. And now that dog cannot get into your yard. You can open your eyes. I know you didn't close them, but we'll just pretend. Now that you can invite your neighbor in or not, you can close the gate. You can say hello from your side of the fence, but what you're doing, what you're working on, what you value in that moment is safe. Okay, imagine yourself. The dog goes running by now. He doesn't come in. He doesn't interrupt. You can still paint. You can still focus on what you're doing. You have access to the ability to choose what comes into your space, what stays out of your space. The Bible talks about being in the world and not of it. So maybe, that neighbor that isn't necessarily your favorite, there's a lot of energy there. You can say hello and you can still engage, but you're on your side of the fence. And so you're still having a relationship, but they're not coming into that space. And I really think about that fence whenever I think about spiritual things. We don't let unforgiveness come into our space, right? Things happen, but we just go ahead and put that back outside of the gate. We don't deny its existence, but we recognize it no longer has a space in our place, right? I was thinking about the notion that we are creative beings, okay, regardless of your spirituality. I know we've talked a couple times before, whether or not you are a Christian, if you are any kind of a person of faith, or if you believe in the creativity of the universe in and of itself, right? We are spiritual beings. We are not just flesh and blood. And while we would like to think we have everything on lock and that we can do all the things, as women especially, right, we can operate to really high capacity for long periods of time. And if we are not connected to our source, which is the creative source, we can get dried up really fast. We can get burned out. We can start just leaving the gate open, letting stuff come in and out. And that is the beauty of having parameters. That's the beauty of having a foundation, of choosing to filter things through a life of faith. You know, I think about in this season right now, there's been so many changes, and we've talked about that. You know, even this last week, right? Let's just be honest. Politically, socially, there's a lot of unrest. There are families out of whack. There are marriages out of whack. There are people feeling disenchanted. There are people who are really battling with a lot of emotion and how to get back to center. And I think that this is the most important perspective to maintain, is that when we come back to center and we filter everything through our belief system, it helps us to gain our bearing again. You know, when we see loss of work, when we see loss of hours, when we see broken relationships, it's not always a loss that is to be mourned. Sometimes it is a loss that is to be celebrated, because it gives us the opportunity to maybe recreate, to see opportunity, to say, okay, you know what, I actually can't, you know, like my husband is a coach, right? He coaches select baseball. And so he went from being able to meet with his boys to, okay, well, I'll make videos. These are things they can work on when they're at home. And some of those systems that we are kind of being forced to try different things and to create outside of the box are things that are actually going to carry us into the next season. And some of those relationships, maybe redefining relationships right now based on what is happening, not out of rejection, not out of unforgiveness, but out of proper perspective, allows us to recognize that maybe in the next season, we're not going to take all those relationships with us, or they're going to be different. They're going to be redefined, whether that is a business relationship or a family relationship. I think that it's just, you know, when we choose to, again, realign ourselves with a foundation, you know, letting go of, you know, bitterness towards ourselves or others. Week 2, right? 3, thinking about our faith and what we stand on and what we believe, and bringing everything back into alignment with that. You know, like, I believe that God promises to bring all things to good for those who love him. So I take, okay, not quickly, sometimes it takes me a minute, but right, like, I take a negative situation, and after I've cried for a second, okay, because there's feels, and that's fair and that's real. Good morning, Karen. We can still say, okay, but what do I believe? And what I believe is that God has a plan in this. And so it looks really ugly, or it looks dark, or it looks confusing, or I really don't understand it. But when you filter it through what your belief system actually is, it allows it to be an opportunity. It allows you to grow. And I just want to admonish you. I feel like there have been so many conversations that I've had over the last couple of weeks, and then within myself, there's been so much shift and so much change. And I feel like we're kind of on the cusp of some big things. I know a lot of you ladies, you are busy, you are doing life with kids and families, and you're still trying to build your business, or you're working within the construct of a business, and there are a lot of things that are uncertain. And in that uncertainty, you get to have the perspective that good things are on the other side of that, and that we get to grow. We get to be tougher. We get to be stronger. We get to know where our areas of weakness and doubt are, so that we can address them. Not that we can feel, you know, guilty or feel bad about it, but it allows us the opportunity to shore up those spaces that aren't aligned with our belief system, and to really come back to who we actually know that we are. So I thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to talk with you guys. I just love, Karen, thank you. Katie, thank you. I love the opportunity to come back to center. And honestly, what I would say to you and encourage you right now to do is, when we share with other people the things that we feel in our heart we need to share, usually it's more for us than the other people. And so, you know, maybe you don't feel comfortable having some of those conversations, or maybe you are uncertain about stepping out in new spaces, but when you walk in freedom, you give other people permission to walk in freedom as well. So be authentically you, be blessed today and this week. Please comment if you have any questions. I love dialogue. I love having conversation. And have a brilliant day.